Hey guys, welcome back to the bonus round here on GameTrailers. I am Jeff Keighley here with Garnet Lee, Andrea Renee, and Brandon Jones. We are talking about all the latest that's going on in the world of gaming. This week, we're moving to the holiday season, the key battleground. Xbox, PlayStation, I guess still Nintendo, Wii U. They're all going to be fighting for people's affections in the so-called console wars. We know Sony had a great Gamescom. They said they've sold 10 million. I mean, clearly Sony is in the lead. Andrea, let's open with them and PlayStation. One thing that I think is fair to say about Sony is that they don't really have a lot of big games for the holidays. The order has moved to next year. Bloodborne's coming next year. They have a great 2015, but this year is a little light for PlayStation for first party. Can Sony keep up the momentum, or do you feel like now there's so much going for Sony that it doesn't matter if they don't have the games?
Well, I definitely don't think it matters at this point, but with the amount that they've invested with Activision and Bungie on their marketing campaign for Destiny, I think that's really going to carry them through the holiday season. I mean, they really only have Drive Club coming out as far as like really big tentpole first-party games. They have a lot of smaller games as well.
That game a look.
He's like, let's not talk about Drive Club. But I'm personally really excited to play Destiny on PlayStation 4. Yeah. They've thoroughly, duped me, however you guys want to
But would you
think
be
about
less
it with their
excited to
marketing
play
campaign.
it on one? Would you be less excited to play it on Xbox One?
No, I wouldn't. If it was an Xbox One exclusive, I would be just as excited to play it on that platform. The game looks really fantastic, but just that allure of playing extra content or getting more, because I really enjoyed my time in the alpha and in the beta, and so from that time spent, I'm like, I want as much of this.
That's a good point, because that's the kind of game where people, I think, will be sort of completionists, where you're going to want to explore everything. You're going to run out of content at some point, and so the fact that there is more on PlayStation may make a difference. Brandon, what's your take on Sony moving into the holidays here? Clearly, I mean, it's sort of the people's console right now. But,
I think, not to bring up Destiny again, but I think that was such a smart play, because what you're building now at the beginning of this new gen is not just like the mass community at large, but these little sub-communities. We're talking about our groups of friends, and Destiny is so divisive, amongst my friends, and if you have that one friend that owns that one console, that he's got a PlayStation 4, and so he's getting in on Destiny early, maybe convincing a lot of his other friends to play. I think it really increases the likelihood that they're going to end up playing. Not because PS4 is better than Xbox One in an appreciable way versus content or controls or whatever, but just that they got there first. They got that install base amongst
I was
friends.
with you at first on that, but as time has gone on and I've looked at the way my friends are sort of settling in, I see it almost splitting 50-50 now on Destiny. So while I go, there's this extra Rift I could play on PS4, and I played the beta on PS4. A lot of other folks are saying, yeah, but you know what? It's an online game, and I like Xbox Live better, and I play my online games on
your
Xbox
friends
Live.
Are, matter.
Right, and so, actually now it's dividing them.
Right.
The same thing as like talking about with Madden and everything else. It's like, it's starting to really divide people between the two platforms, because really PlayStation wasn't a big player in PlayStation Network for online gaming, right? But now they are. And so it has created this sort of schism of like, which team are you on? And it's a bummer.
Because which team are you going to be on for Destiny? Tell us now, Gar.
I'm going to be on PS4 team.
PS4.
But it's not that much more content. It's just it's just a Rift. But then I'm like, but the Rift is the coolest part.
Exactly. Well, there's little things, and the other thing that has continued to be a discussion between PlayStation and Xbox is sort of what some people term resolution gate, about which system's going to have the better resolution, the better frame rate. Bungie had the beta, which was not as 900p on Xbox One. It will be 1080p, they say, for the final shipping game. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's I think what people are saying is, hey, games are always potentially going to look the best on PlayStation. There's not an example of any game right now that looks better on Xbox One than PlayStation 4. Which is
we've heard the boasts about the next Halo.
Yes, well, we'll have to see with Halo 5. That beta's coming in December. But let's talk about Xbox One for the holiday season. Sunset Overdrive, Forza, now at a more competitive price, no Kinect. Brandon, do you think Xbox, do they have a shot to really sort of turn things around for the holidays? They are very public, and at Gamescom talked about how they think the best games this holiday are on Xbox One. The idea that they have more kind of exclusive games, exclusive content than Sony. Does it matter?
Well, you said 50-50, and I think it is, and it definitely, I see that divide amongst my friends about who owns what console. But I think Microsoft has had to fight a little harder than Sony, to get to that point. I think they do have a chance. I think they are still relevant. I think there's so many games that are still, like you were mentioning before, so much got pushed to 2015. Yeah. So there's so many things that we have yet to be excited about. I just think they're having to work a little bit harder, and I think really define an identity of success within the company, if that makes any sense. Just like really, not only that they have these numbers numbers and that the numbers are growing, they're getting more people involved, but why? What really is their mission and what all their projects, how that all kind of lines up. I think it's a little muddy right now.
I think perhaps the bigger question to ask is not just, Xbox versus PlayStation, but with so few games coming out this year, I mean, you think, are there going to be some people that are just going to wait that haven't sort of upgraded? Do you guys have friends that haven't bought one and they're like, maybe I'll wait till 2015? I mean,
what do you mean so few games? There's so many games coming out this year.
So many push. You think of Evolve, Batman, all these games.
Borderlands, the Master Chief Collection, which
Borderlands is only going to be on the old consoles, though. That's part of the crazy thing.
Fair enough. Are you specifically just talking about buying an Xbox One or a PS4?
PS4. I would just say, yes, there's Call of Duty, yes, there's Assassins, but I'm just trying to think in terms of those real kind of, blockbuster exclusive games that are going to make you upgrade. In many ways, Call of Duty and Assassins, you can play them on 360, or at least, different Assassins, but still, they're all going to be there. So I just wonder, what is that game that's going to drive people when, Evolve and Batman were both coming out. Those were next-gen only games that I thought were really going to sort of potentially drive people to those consoles.
But they're also on PC, and
That's
so
true.
a lot of people will say if it's not a console-exclusive game,
Right.
like Destiny, for example, is a good driver of console sales because it's not available on PC. So I think that even though it's also available on last gen, I think that that's a game that will help drive console sales.
That's true.
But I think when you're talking about driving console sales, you can't not talk about Smash and the Wii U.
Yes.
Right? If it comes out this year, Nintendo still hasn't given us a release date.
I think that'll come this year. It's got it. Well, yeah, I mean, you're right. But I wonder with, Smash, that is the big game for Nintendo, right? And that is, hopefully going to drive Wii U sales.
That's the holiday system seller. I mean, look,
right.
it's not Sunset Overdrive, it's not Forza Horizon, it's not Drive Club,
Right.
and the multi-platform games will sell systems, but they're going to break across, whatever the dividing line is. Although, if Destiny is laying the groundwork now for being a Sony franchise, Call of Duty is an Xbox franchise.
Right.
And so I think if you look at this fall for Xbox, they've got Call of Duty, which will bring in people. Don't overlook the Halo Master Chief Collection.
And the Halo 5 beta in
And the
December.
Halo 5 beta.
Yeah.
And I think this is all sort of setting the table towards that fight. The fight really for this generation now is next holiday, not 14, but 15, when it's Uncharted against Halo. Right. And that's going to be, those are the system-selling games from first party. Yeah. And then don't count out Gears.
Right.
I mean, at some point in time...
Gears will be next year, though, right?
I don't think it'll be next year, but you layer that on, you're like, here we've got Halo, plus we've got this incredible Black Tusk studio with Rod Ferguson leading it, and they're making this awesome new Gears. Right. And suddenly, Microsoft is way back in the race. Way back in the race.
I think it's just a question of, between now and then, it's there's a gap, obviously, now. It's how much is that going to widen over the next year? And, they're both competitive prices. There are a lot of good games coming out, but I just wonder, is there that game that's going to drive you if you haven't already bought one, right? And a lot of us, we've all bought them, but it's for people that haven't bought them yet, is this the year when you're going to be like, hey, I'm going to put down
Are we to the
$400?
floor of us? Are we to the floor of how many the gamers are going to buy?
Well,
and what does the Walmart buyer, whoever the Amazon customer is, are they ready to buy a Xbox One or a PS4 yet? And I don't know.
Because you look at the numbers, and it's the industry says, the sales of Xbox One and PS4 are I think it's 80% ahead of where they were last year. Just a lot of gamers have bought them now, and we're waiting to play games. I don't know about you guys, but it's all summer. I'm sort of is there a new idea at Xbox game to download? What can I do? Because there's just a lack of stuff.
Yeah.
And yes, there are games coming out for the holidays, but it's interesting that the Borderlands game and the Assassin's Creed Rogue game, two big games, if you bought a new console and you're throwing away your old ones, you can't even play those.
Yeah, you can't even play them.
It's crazy. It's those are two pretty big games.
Yeah,
right?
very true. Do you think that new games in the family sector, kind of like the Disney Infinity 2.0 and Trap Team from Skylanders, would be system sellers for families? I don't know.
I think they'll sell well. I just don't, I don't know if you're going to buy an Xbox One to play Skylanders, because again, they're on every system out there, right? And that's part of the thing that still has happened is that the leap between the old gen and next gen is still not that great, right? I mean, they look better, but I bet, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare is probably going to look pretty good on PS3 and Xbox 360, right? So I just wonder, with those games, I think same game basically on all systems. So I think those will do well. I just wonder, what is that game that's going to drive people? The holidays, and I think you're right. Smash is probably the one that could, drive a lot of Wii U's. And you look at Nintendo had a good E3, right? People like that. There's some, Zelda next year, things like that. Maybe this is the year that the people that have an Xbox One and a PS4, so maybe they'll buy a Wii U too.
I still don't own a Wii U. I still don't have one.
And it's always a good time to jump in because the library is there.
Will Smash?
I think it'll probably do it. I thought it was going to be Pikmin, but just when that you're like, okay, I have to, as a gamer, I have to, be connected to those games. I think Mario Kart is still a system seller.
So
I think,
I think you get a great library.
It's a kind of game that's just always relevant. It's not necessarily a seasonal thing. Just whenever you can get your friends together, you can play Wii. So. I'll probably buckle down this Christmas, but it's really the family. I think it's really the families we're talking about. It's like who's going to make that investment. Because I think gamers. None of the games that we've been talking about are really that game, where it's just like and I can't say that. None of us can say that definitively because you never know what's going to happen. But none of them feel like that.
That's why I feel like an Evolve or a Batman would have been that one that might have kind of pushed you to say, I can't play this on this. Let me upgrade. But Wii U is it's interesting to see what'll happen. I mean, obviously. You're not getting a lot of third-party games on Wii U, and you know that. So it's like in many ways, you're buying it for
no Call of Duty this time around.
No Assassin's Creed either.
No Assassin's. I think Watch Dogs is finally coming out maybe this fall. But who knows? And then you've got something like GTA Next Gen, which will probably be really big. We don't know a lot about it yet, but I imagine that's going to sell to a lot of people.
Oh, it'll definitely sell to a lot of people.
It's like, look at like Last of Us, PS4.
Last of Us doing so, yeah.
#1, and it was like those were people that didn't play it a year ago, so maybe it's the year the re-releases are going to do well. All right, well, we'll find out what happens this holiday season, and we'll be back next Sunday for an all-new bonus round right here on GameTrailers.